Hey guys, welcome to my series where I play every single Wii U game that has any kind of physical release here in North America. This is going to be a long and arduous journey. Game number 6, Paper Mario Color Splash. 2 RPGs back to back. That's great. Paper Mario Color Splash was released on October 7th, 2016, developed by Intelligent Systems and published by Nintendo. So Paper Mario is a series I like, more specifically the first 3 games. I think everyone can agree on that. After that point though, everyone seems to have mixed feelings about the series. I stopped caring about it entirely because of the absolute piece of crap that was Sticker Star in the 3DS, which pretty much tainted the series from now on. I hate Sticker Star and I never bothered with the other games in the series because of it. Until now. Color Splash does follow a lot of similar beats to Sticker Star, which I'm not that excited for, but maybe they changed and fixed a lot of the more annoying issues of the previous game, and I can actually get through it this time. Let's find out. The game starts up on a stormy night. Princess Peach and Toad, not Toadsworth, arrive at Mario's house with a strange letter. This letter is actually a folded up Toad, but he seems to be a bit pale as of the moment. Mario recognized the return address, saying it's from Port Prisma. So then we set sail to Port Prisma to figure out why Toad was missing all of his color. Man, I'm so glad the story isn't as complex as Xenoblade. Not gonna be spouting so many story bits this time around. We arrive at Port Prisma, but appears to be completely barren. Here we find the hammer, a staple of Paper Mario. Toad threw Mario's old hammer overboard last night for some reason. We arrive in the main square to see it even more abandoned. Toad tries to go find somebody while we stay in the main square. The fountain in the center starts to rise, revealing a lock. The lock gives us a clue to open it. It's pretty simple. Just follow what it says. Hammer the yellow tile sticking out of the ground, pull the blue flower in this patch over here, and jump into the red block on the wall. Opening the lock reveals a paint can, which Mario cannot open, so he tries whacking it with a hammer. Turns out the paint can is alive and is pretty pissed. I would be too if I was whacked in the head. He doesn't stay mad for too long, but before we can learn his name, we hear the cry of Toad being attacked by something. Turns out Toad is receiving the suck from this shy guy, sucking away all of his color. Before he dies, he throws us a bunch of battle cards. It's time to avenge Toad. But wait! The paint can, named Huey, says if we have any paint on us. We don't, so Huey asks Mario to bring him out, giving us a paint meter and making Huey all papery. It's time for our first battle. Okay, so the combat in this game is almost identical to Sticker Star, but just a little bit better. If you've never played Sticker Star, good on you, but I'll tell you what it's like. So you attack by using cards instead of just normal commands like the previous games. You'll have things like a jump card, a hammer card, mushroom card, and stuff like that. You play what you want, then attack. You can time your attacks to make them more powerful if you press the button in time. It's pretty easy to learn and it's very similar to all the other games. The main gimmick with the cards now is that you can paint them. Sometimes you'll get blank cards which you can paint over, making them stronger. Unpainted cards do very little damage. I'll talk more about combat in depth later, but for now, let's just continue on with the plot. After the fight, Huey gives us the ability to splash paint onto objects with our hammer. With this, we revive Toad. Huey mentions if we run out of paint, we can collect more from the big paint stars at the fountain. But Peach mentions the fountain is all dried up with no stars to be found. Huey doesn't believe her at first, but soon realizes that they are all gone. Huey notices one just above the square and asks Mario to help him get that star and all other stars. We agree cause we're Mario, and we set off. Huey is going to be our partner throughout the game. Thankfully, he's not a completely annoying, mean sack of pig shit like Kirsty was in Sticker Star. Huey actually cares about you and isn't rude to everyone he sees. Yeah, Kirsty was a complete ass in Sticker Star. So now we have free range of the town to get a feel for what the game is going to be like. The main gimmick is filling up white spots with paint. Filling them up will give you coins as well as cards. Now you don't have to fill every spot you see unless you have OCD. It's mainly for 100% completions. You should keep your eye out though, because there will be times you need to fill spots to progress or Toads to revive. Get used to me saying Toad a bunch in this video. So after some time, we arrive at a motel of some sorts where Peach and OG Toad, I gotta give them nicknames or we'll be confused, stay for now on. Above the motel is a shy guy sucking the color from the water, making the water wheel not turn. Kill him and restore the water. Now a blocked path from earlier is open and we can obtain the big paint star. Well, actually a mini paint star, which will be the main collectible for the game. But hold on, an airship flies by with a giant bucket of paint attached to it. I wonder who it is. I'll give you one guess. With that paint star collected, the next level opens up. Yeah, if you skipped over Sticker Star, again, can't blame you. The structure is very similar to that one. It's a level by level affair with some backtracking involved rather than the first 3 games having a giant, somewhat connected world. I don't hate this structure, I think it's fine. Just the way Sticker Star handled it was just really bad because it was confusing on what you're actually supposed to do and navigation sucked. First level is Ruddy Roads. It's a decent level. I do want to talk more about combat though. So in Sticker Star, normal encounters were pointless because you didn't gain any XP from fighting, and all you got was coins and maybe some stickers. Running from a fight had no consequences either because you didn't lose any money and the enemy would just despawn. Color Splash also has this. Yeah, you get no XP from battles. Mario does not level up in this game, so you essentially have no idea how much damage your cards will do or how much damage you'll take from some enemies. You can hold up to 99 cards and you won't really run out. I think Sticker Star started you off with less and certain cards took up more space than others. Color Splash thankfully got rid of that, so each card only takes up 1 slot. But since you don't get XP, what's the point of battling? Well, they actually made it so battles at least are worth doing. Enemies will drop paint scraps, little hammers used to rank up your paint gauge in the corner. Collecting enough will increase the amount of paint you can hold, which is great because certain cards take up more paint than others, and it also helps for painting the world. So I guess battling normal enemies has a purpose now. You can still avoid most encounters, but at least they aren't entirely worthless. One feature I do really love is that the area you battle in is always different depending on where you are in the level. It's a nice little feature, better than seeing the same background a million times. Going back to the main stage, it's a good starting level. You learn about the first strikes and some enemies you'll encounter throughout the game, like the straw guys, which could actually drain your paint meter. It's very annoying. You can also meet up with the purple Toad Captain. Toad Captains will appear periodically, and you need to find other members of the squad to access a new path. He'll get marked on the map so you don't forget about him. We come across another paint star soon after, but can't collect it because it's missing its color. The Shy Guy sucked it dry, so we gotta go catch him. Not before running into Barista Toad serving Shy Guys. Well, ain't that cute. We catch up to the Shy Guy and he just gives in and agrees to put the paint back. But it's a trap. A bunch more Shy Guys appear on the ground and start rolling it up trying to kill us. We survive along with Barista Toad, but now we need to uncurl the ground, rip the sticker off and walk along the path to flatten it out, ending with us crushing the paint out of the blue Shy Guys. Good thing they weren't red or the game would rise up to an M rating. Paint star obtained. Next stage we get another new mechanic, the cutout technique. Some parts of the game might seem inaccessible, but pressing the Y button could outline a path for you. With the gamepad you can cut along the dotted line to create a path to walk across and progress. It's neat. So the stage is called Cherry Lake. Again, I'm not going to mention every detail of each stage, rather the more important aspects. We rescue a Shy Guy here who didn't want to conform to a 5-stack Shy Guy squad. He gives us another card slot so we can play 2 cards a turn instead of 1. The only problem I have with this is that you can waste cards if you don't use it during the turn. It does not go back to your inventory. Since you can't determine how much damage you'll do, you'll waste cards a lot. But here we get another thing. A giant fan referred to as a thing. Thing items are essentially key items, which play a large part for solving certain puzzles. In battle, they act as screen nukes, but you don't want to be using them for that. I'll talk more about them later. After moving the fan, you can meet up with the Justice Toad, who was stuck to the bottom of the giant paint can carried by the aircraft from earlier. We need to find his clothes before he can help us out. Didn't do that because I couldn't find his shirt right away, so I'll come back later. There's another paint star on this level to grab, so I went for that instead. That star unlocks a path to Crimson Tower, which we cannot access yet because it's missing 3 toad-shaped keys. We do meet a green toad here, refer to him as Bridge Toad. It's important to talk to him because he'll repair the bridge in Port Prisma. He's so happy when you cross it, but now we have access to the post office. You'll get mail sometimes, it'll tell you when you get mail on the map. We do get one letter from Luigi mentioning something about a guy called the Ringer. I wonder who he is. We also tell Mail Toad to fix his crooked sign outside. This allows us to use the cutout technique to reach another paint star, not before this nerd toad stops us to admire our cards. He admires them for so long that we get ambushed by a Shy Guy. No cards to fight. What shall we do? Here we get another new mechanic, the Battle Spin. Spend 10 coins to roll a wheel and get a card out of it. It's only cards you have at least gotten once before. It's good if you run low on cards or run out of a specific card. You can use this once per battle, however. Well, in the beginning. You can actually use it more later on, but in the beginning, you only get one chance. Alright, nerd. Give me my cards back and my star. So next stage we run into a green toad stuck in a pipe who's stuck pretty good. He suggests to get something that's good at unclogging things. Maybe a toilet plunger. Where would I get that though? Remember that ringer that Luigi mentioned? He's located at the dock of Port Prisma. The ringer will give you anything that you've collected, for a price. This is good if you need a thing for something but don't remember what stage it was in. The ringer will give you the plunger as a freebie. Well, that's convenient. There's another toad here, I'll refer to him as Trash Toad. Trash Toad helps you give hints on what thing you need to use in your current predicament. How do you use thing objects on the world though? You need to use the cutout technique nearby and place the thing there. It'll use it up on use, even if it's the wrong one. They warn you about this, so it's not a big slap in the face if you use the wrong one, but it's still pretty annoying. After giving the toad the suck, it's revealed that he's the green toad captain who got ambushed and the rest of the squad is underground. Toad will always remain useless. The next level is finding all of the toads. It's a neat little level. The toads are hidden in creative ways, like the one is crumpled up and being tossed around while one is spinning on a small platform with Shy Guys, and you need to launch him out to save him. There is one toad that I want to bring up because it's kind of horrifying actually. Yeah, what the hell is this? Well, after saving all the toads, they form a bridge to give us access to 2 paint stars. Not before some Shy Guys ruin the fun, of course. I grab both paint stars here. One path leads me to another thing item, the lemon. It does have a use much later, so don't forget it. 2 more stars in the bag. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention you can buy cards at Port Prisma, either blank cards or colored cards. The blank cards are cheaper, but you need to paint them. It's not a big deal in the long run, to be honest. Some colored cards are kind of pricey early on, like Fire Flowers. More will be added to the shop once you find more cards. Next up is Blue Bay Beach. Here we can meet this blue sailor toad being made fun of by a bunch of normal toads. Sailor Toad just wants to sail to the end of the world to discover his destiny. Hilarious. Ignore him for now. Ocean Fest is starting. Sick. After dodging a bunch of Cheep, we arrive at Ocean Fest. Here we can play hide and toad seek, where we need to find 5 green toads. It's not too hard. After that, it's Toad Shuffle, where we need to find the VIP lounge key. The host gives the key to the bent toad you find in a clam, so it shouldn't be too hard. Turns out Bent Toad didn't have the key. What? Huey suggests to paint him, so we know for sure it's him. It's still wrong. Huey calls Toad out on his bullshit, and he eventually gives us the key. What a scam artist. Call up Fox News and I'll expose you, Toad. You'll never work again. Gatekeeper Toad was shocked when we won. You bet, dude. And now it's time for a little R&R. Well, that was fun. Let's grab that paint star. Next is Sunglow Ridge, but we can't open it because it's drained of color. There is a purple squad member here, so it's good to come here anyway. Next up is Daffodil Peak, home to the mountain sage. He might know where we can get another paint star. We can't scale the mountain until we get a permit from the park ranger. Park ranger Toad is pretty bummed out because his house is drained of color, so we gotta restore it. Here we find an unfurl block. These blocks give you 20 seconds to hit another thing that has the unfurl symbol on it to restore it back to normal. After restoring Toad's home, he gives us a climbing permit free of charge, and not for like 50,000 coins. So the rest of the level isn't super exciting. It's fun enough, but not enough to talk about it in depth. We find another purple squad Toad here. Get him, he's important. We also come across another new mechanic. Kamek battles. Kamek will appear sometimes to mess with your battles. For this battle, he replaces all of your cards with worn out shoes. It's a weak-ass jump card. I like these encounters, they're unexpected. However, each Kamek encounter after this will have the same curse, where all cards are flipped and you can't see what you're picking and you can't flee. It's kind of a letdown. Well, we reached the top and met the mountain sage. A cutout of the mountain sage. Yeah, the dude is not here. The Toad at the booth swore that the sage was up there, and even the park ranger said he's real. Booth Toad can't remember where he is exactly because his head got sucked dry. After restoring his head with paint, he remembers all. He was the mountain sage this whole time and grows a weird key-shaped piece from his head. Hey, remember those 3 toad-shaped keys from before? This is one of them. 1 down, 2 to go. I went back to the beach because I remember seeing a blue squad member by the paint star, but got interrupted by a toad that the sailor toad got shipwrecked. Since toads are more useless than a man's nipples, we need to save him. This is where thing items come into play. You need to guess what item would work in this situation. The toad is stranded, but his boat looks like it can still sail. So let's use the fan to give him the wind he needs to sail back. And it works. But shocker! It's revealed that Sailor Toad is actually another key toad. Hallelujah! See you at Crimson Tower, dude. I also saved the purple toad that was at the end of the stage, and that's all of them. I went back to Ruddy Road to meet the whole purple squad who create a staircase with their bodies. This leads us to another paint star and another thing, the fire extinguisher. This will be needed later, so don't forget it. Well, now what? Well, I went back to where Justice Toad was and I found all of his clothes. His shirt I couldn't find before was stuck in the docks. To prove that he's a real superhero, Huey asks to help reach a paint star we couldn't grab before. Sure enough, he does grab it with the power of his mind, because he also happens to be one of those key toads too. And that's all three. I'll see you at Crimson Tower, you magnificent bastard. Before heading there though, I stopped at the Rochambeau Temple. It's a rock paper scissors tournament. It's not required to beat the game, but it's great for earning coins. Come back to this later. Here we are at Crimson Tower. Gotta give the toads a good whack before we can enter. A key isn't useful until you abuse it, don't you know? Crimson Tower though is looking a little white rather than a beautiful crimson. We see an airship making its escape with a bucket of paint dramatically until they get snagged by the anchor they didn't raise. We help them with their problem and get lifted onto the ship. On the ship we fight a bunch of shy guys. They're not hard to fight at all. After hijacking the ship, we activate the self-destruct button behind the wheel, because every good pirate ship has a self-destruct button right behind the wheel. And we dump the paint back onto Crimson Tower. Bridge Toad came by to send us off. Well, thanks buddy, but I think he just wanted to see the cool bridge. Inside of Crimson Tower, we come across another familiar face. It's Morton. Yeah, the Wii U era had a fascination for the Koopalings returning, didn't it? Morton seemed to have lost the big paint star, so maybe we can get it before him. Crimson Tower is... it's a level. It's not really super interesting, just a standard castle stage. I did have an encounter with this accordion Goomba where Kamek appeared and messed up the battle. You can't jump on this guy or he'll fling you off, so I was stuck fighting this guy for a while because I couldn't see my hammer cards. Kamek is always annoying to deal with. We eventually reach Morton near the top and have a nice wholesome conversation with the guy. Afterwards he breaks the stairs so we can't climb up. But we have the power of cutout. Trust me, I'm doing it as we speak. Time to fight Morton and reclaim that paint star. Our first major boss fight. The boss fights in this game are actually pretty fun, but they all have one huge problem, which I will get to. The first phase of Morton is not super complex. Morton will stand on top of a pedestal where you can't reach him and will stay inside of his shell. You just need to break the pedestal with the hammer. He'll summon Shy Guys to help protect him, so this might take a few turns because you can't target specific enemies in this game. Well, after dealing enough damage, Morton will light his hammer on fire. If he hits you with this, it's guaranteed death. So what do? Well, this is where the problem comes in. You need to use a thing. In this case, it's that fire extinguisher we found earlier. Every boss fight requires at least one thing in order to beat them. It can be kind of annoying and ruin the boss fight if you don't have it. They do circumvent this a little bit, but I'll get to that when it comes up. Let's get that paint star for now. The big paint star will actually give us some detail on what actually happened to him. So the red star flashes back to when they were all chucked from the fountain by none other than Bowser, who seems to be covered in black paint. Well, that seems kind of spooky, but let's forget about that for now. The Toads want to celebrate the return of the star with a dance. How could we say no? And looky here, who shows up after the cutscene? It's Bowser. Bowser says he's harnessed the power of black paint and is going to fill the whole world in darkness. Yeah, that's it. He leaves right after that. At least he has dialogue in this game, unlike Sticker Star, so that's a plus for Color Splash. So after saving the big red paint star, that gate that was completely white before is now restored. But before I go there, I head back to the Rochambeau Temple. After beating a major boss, the Rochambeau Wizard will be there. If you beat him, you get a card of the boss you just beat. In this case, it's Morton. I actually never end up using this card, so it's whatever. Most minion summon cards I rarely used. I found most of them to be worthless in 90% of the cases. You can even use them in boss fights. The Morton one is basically like a thing item, it's a screen nuke, so it's not entirely worthless, but you can get like normal minion cards from certain enemies, and they just kinda suck. Back to the gate, Huey mentions that the big paint star not only gave us more health, but increased our hammer and jump damage. If your damage is high enough, you can kill enemies on the overworld without entering battles. You don't get paint scraps from doing this, but the weaker enemies don't drop the higher valued scraps, so it's fine. This level is also just okay. These early game levels are kinda basic, to be honest. They do get better later on. On our way forward, we notice a bonsai build traveling straight into the ground and exploding in a puff of black smoke. Well, this doesn't seem good. After some more Shy Guy shenanigans, I gotta say the Shy Guy representation in this game is great. They're some of the best characters in the game. We arrive at the site of the explosion. Everything is coated with black paint. Touching it hurts us like it's molten tar. Huey actually can clean it up, but tells us not to look. If you say so, Huey. Hey look, another paint star. Let's yoink that. Next up is Chateau Chantarelle, home of Professor Toad. We get informed by the greeter Toad that the professor went out on a walk with his princess in Mondo Woods and hasn't returned yet. We need his help for some reason, so we go and look for him. We need that paint star in the backyard to reach Mondo Woods, but how do we get back there? Well, it was easier than I thought. You just gotta slide through the doghouse and end up on the other side. I spent way too long trying to find some weird switch to launch me back there. Mondo Woods is looking pretty Mondo. The trees, the coins, even the cards have large versions of what we own. Even the Goombas are huge. This big guy can deal a ton of damage too, so watch out. After traversing the woods, we come across another giant wall. It's actually a colorless coin. We can't do anything about it yet, so we'll come back later. We also learn who is making the forest so big. It's Kamek. Of course. We'll deal with him later. Much later. At the end of the woods, we see the professor all glum. His precious princess ran away from him and hasn't returned. Huey says she might have went back home, which cheers up the professor for the time being. Arriving back at his home, he's still sad because she is in fact not here. So now we agree to help him find his princess. He gives us an excavation site permit, which is used for the excavation site we unlocked earlier. I didn't mention that, did I? At the site, the toads are on the verge of discovering a huge fossil, but are experiencing earthquakes at the same time. The toad tells us no earthquakes should be erupting here, so there's probably a culprit behind this. This level is the first to introduce dry bones, who are very annoying because you can't kill them in battle. You can only kill them with the environment and knocking a wall onto them. Avoid them the best you can. We also come across bone Goombas, which I thought were original enemies, but they're not. They were in New Super Mario Bros. 2. We were so close to getting an original enemy design in this game. Even more ahead, we experience more tremors. Huey reminds us that no matter what happens, he'll always protect us. Soon after, a giant chain chomp starts rolling towards us and Huey ditches us. I thought you were my shield, Huey. A new mechanic steps our way, rainbow doors. Match 3 of a kind on the door to enter a minigame. I rolled blue, which dumps me into a matching game. Match them correctly to get a card that corresponds with that title. Too bad my hand was full. We then save a toad who was stuck behind a crumbled wall. He was running low on snacks. Thank God I got to him in time. He also gave us a bone, another thing item that'll come in handy. But surprise! The chain chomp from earlier falls from the sky. And I die. Dying kinda sucks in this game. It's not the fact that you go back and have to redo everything. That's annoying. It's the fact that you have to sit through every single cutscene again, and you can't skip them. I don't fail this time around, and the rumbling from that chain chomp revealed a fossil of a Dragodon. Cool. Give me that star. Back at the professor's house, we use that bone near the doghouse, which brings back Princess, who just so happened to be that chain chomp. A very affectionate yet dangerous chain chomp. But that doesn't make the professor sad at all. He's ecstatic, actually. For helping him out, he gives us a spike he found at the dig site. Wow. A spike. Well, actually, it's more important for the next stage, Kiwano Temple. After destroying the pillar, which destroys the train track in the process, hope that doesn't bite me in the ass later, we get a roller to lead us inside of the temple. Stick that spike in and let's go. Here we need to light all of the candles with paint to proceed. This reveals a POW block which flips these spikes on the ground but drops down a bunch of spinies. Thankfully a power star drops down too and we shred through these chumps. After some more tedious spike rolling, even more tedious when you have to walk along these wheels with spinies inside of them, We step on a big switch which lowers us into a pit of lava. We almost fall to our death here, but thankfully Huey saves us. Man, if he was Kirsty, he would just bitch at us and not help. So this next section is kind of hard. You need to immediately roll to the right and hit the blue spike shell to get the platform to move forward. Now you need to dodge lava rocks rising from the lava. Where else would they rise from? You can only afford to get hit twice or else you'll succumb to the lava. It's pretty brutal, but I did it on my first try. Well, we can't get that paint star yet because a giant spiny blocks the way. It's time for a boss fight with the big spiny. Yeah, it's very creative, I know. He's not hard, but he'll take a turn to charge up an attack. If you knock him out of it, he'll be stunned for a bit, giving you an extra hit. Beat him and take the star. Next up is the Golden Coliseum, where an epic battle royale is taking place. The winner gets a big paint star. Someone signed us up for the next tournament, so we're set to enter. Downstairs, another shy guy asks us a few questions before we can enter. He just wants to know if we're bad to the bone. You bet I'm bad to the bone. So bad to the bone that you want to break your enemy's bones and a lot of other bone puns. Up the elevator, we get mobbed by a bunch of enemies. Running to the left and breaking open a box reveals a star to mow down these guys. That's not the real challenge though. In fact, the real opponent was Iggy, another Koopaling. So we can't beat Iggy for the time being because we don't have the thing we need. You can actually flee from boss battles if you don't have the thing. Yeah, Sticker Star did this too, it's just weird that you can run from a boss fight. So instead of entering the Coliseum from the right, enter to the left into the spectators stand. Here we get a part where we need to scale up the stands inside and out to reach our destination. They even bring back the fuzzies. How dare you. You'll reach a point where you need to drop down. There are 2 different spots to drop to. This first one will lead you into a room where you can grab 2 things, an ice pick and a bottle opener. The other path will lead you behind the locker rooms of the Coliseum fighters. One of these was locked from the outside, so we enter through the back. Inside of this room, there are 3 yellow rescue toads who retrieve this bone stolen by a bunch of shy guys from earlier. Now I'm really bad to the bone. I think now it's a good time to fight Iggy. Iggy starts off by being pretty easy with only 2 attacks. His second phase, he'll jump into a chariot alongside a Sniffit and a Hammer Bro. If you try to attack them, they'll run away on the chariot. So now Iggy, let me ask you a question. Are you bad to the bone? I know I am. I've crushed 1,000 enemies before I met you, and now I'll crush 3 more, baby. 'Cause I'm bad to the bone. With Iggy defeated, we get the next paint star and more backstory. All of Bowser's goons drained Port Prisma of their color, and it was them who sent the toad to Peach in the mail. Oh, how cruel. But it's time for another dance number. Oh yeah, we also unlocked this area called Mustard Cafe. Can't do anything here yet for a while, just remember I mentioned it. We also have access to the Sacred Forest, where we find the Yellow Toad squad leader. We need to find 10 of his men before we can help him out, also remember him for later. Anyways, let's make our way back to Mondo Woods, where that giant coin was. The big paint star filled it in, and now we're rich! Picking it up gives us a whole 1 coin. Well, what did you expect? It's just a normal coin, but larger. Doesn't change the value of it. Next level is Dark Blue Inn. It's one of my favorite levels. Here the bellhop toads are experiencing paranormal activity and close it up because of it. They tried to call up Luigi because it's his specialty to catch ghosts, but he didn't answer. So it's up to us to remove the ghost. There are 3 floors to check out, so let's head up to the 2nd floor. The first room contains a shy guy who picked up nothing and jumped out the window. Oh, bye guy. The next room is blocked from the other side, but the 3rd room is hidden, so we need the cutout technique to reveal it. Nothing is in here for now, but we'll be back later, don't you worry. Floor 3's first room contains a bird cage. Nothing yet still. Next room has a toad slacking off reading a very white book. Under the bed contains a giant hole leading into that blocked room from before. Jumping down will reveal nothing super important, but you will soon notice some footprints on the carpet. Hitting it with some paint will reveal a ghost who misplaced his glasses. Whack him again and his glasses will fall into place. Easy. Next, I decided to head outside where that shy guy jumped from the window to see what the invisible thing was. But I get attacked by a sludge bro. Yeah, remember these guys from Mario 3? Beating him results in the other 3 goons to run away and drop the invisible thing. Cool, thanks. I head back inside to the library where the books were being tossed around earlier, revealing another ghost. He's upset he can't find a book he wants even though he swore he left it here. I know what book it is, but I actually forgot about this for the time being. I went back to the Shy Guy room and reveal another ghost who was upset that the Shy Guy stole his invisible thingy. Already got you covered, buddy. By the way, after helping these toads, they go into the dining hall for a tea party. Also, painting the invisible thingy reveals that it was actually Yoshi. He's important much later. Dude doesn't say anything for now. Back in the birdcage room, I can now paint it yellow, revealing another ghost. He's sad that his red bird flew away, so we need to help catch it again. There was a toad outside throwing food out for a bird. It's very convenient, I know. We give him the bird cage, and it just so happens that a red bird flies into the cage. It's a funny looking bird we got here. Back at the entrance, the front desk gets another call from nobody. This is your cue to go back up to the third floor and enter the room on the far left, which was blocked by a toad before. This toad is upset that his bedsheets haven't been changed in a very long time, and has been calling the front desk and receiving no help. We'll get the bedsheets for you, buddy, after dealing with some more Shy Guys, of course. Almost forgot about the toad in the hallway, looking for the hidden cutout room on the second floor. I could have done this much earlier. The last ghost to get is the library one. That slacker toad has the book. Just paint it green and he'll give it to you. Yeah, he was reading a blank book before. Well, that's all of them, but the tea party cannot start until we find the big teapot. The counter toad doesn't have it, but suggests it might be in Plum Park. So let's head there. Plum Park is looking a little bit, poisonous at the moment. Jumping into the water here will result in damage. Even during battle, you'll take damage if you get stuck here, so forget about swimming for now. Up ahead, we see a bunch of Shy Guys traveling in barrels across the poison. Well, that seems very useful at this moment in time. And look! Bloopers! Did I mention I like bloopers? If you walk to the right where the Shy Guys went, you'll see that they're waiting for a concert to start told by a yellow rescue toad. Also, this hedge right here has a hidden Luigi. If you cut him out, you'll get 300 coins. He doesn't say anything to us, but thanks for the money, I guess. I guess I should talk more about this level. I like it. You need to travel in between hedges in order to get anywhere, and the aesthetic of the level looks really cool. We come across a piranha plant stuck inside of a barrel. Well, that'll be useful. Killing him also kills that one Shy Guy that didn't have a barrel to travel in. Poor guy. Well, now we can ride and see the concert up close. Who will be performing, you might ask? Birdo. I think this is the first time Birdo has appeared in a Paper Mario game. She references Mario 2 in her performance, her origins essentially. Well, that was fun. Break down the backdrop, revealing the teapot we need. It's not an easy grab because out of the kettle pops out Petey Piranha, who in this game is a giant tea bag. Even his name is spelt differently. Ha ha. The fight with Petey is pretty fun actually. He'll attack with a spin, which can crumple you up, being unable to attack. If you block it, Petey will be dazed and confused for so long that you can jump on his head, knocking him down and revealing his belly button. You gotta love the Super Mario Sunshine reference. With him defeated, we collect the teapot and the water returns back to normal. How about we grab that paint star that spawned in? Going back to Dark Blue Inn, using the teapot here puts the ghost at peace. I guess. It's been a long-awaited thing, believe me. Bellhop Toad thanks us for the help and gives us another card slot. Now we can use 3 cards in a single turn. Next up is Violet Passage. A ship here is being overrun by Shy Guys and is firing cannonballs directly at the toads. This is another area you come back to later, but come here now because there are yellow squad members here. On the ship, you fight a bunch of Shy Guys. They're not too hard per se, but then you have to fight the Ninja Black Shy Guy. This is a boss fight, and it's a very dumb boss fight. You can't hit him with normal attacks, and the only way to damage him is with thing cards. Luckily, the battle spin can give you replicas of thing items. Replica thing items can only be used in battle to deal damage and don't work in puzzles. The battle spin is infinite in this fight, so once you figure that out, this guy is dead in 2 turns. Yeah, this fight was really dumb. There's another toad stranded in the sea, but we can't save him for the time being. We're gonna have to come back later. Again. I went back to the Sacred Forest to check on the yellow toad squad. I'm still missing one though. If you're missing any toads, there's a toad back at Port Prisma that can tell you where some of the toads might be. It's very useful because he'll also mention toads in areas you have yet to discover, like now. But before I hunt him down, this dude spawns in. The Shy Bandit is a menace. This guy will spawn randomly and toss a card at a certain level. You need to get there before him or he'll drain the paint from the area. If you're too slow to catch him, you will have to repaint the entire level again. Early on it's not bad, but there will be points later in the game that he'll spawn on the complete opposite side of the map and you can't reach him no matter what. Yeah, this guy is a real asshole. I like his battle theme though. Now it's time for a little backtracking. I went back to Kiwano Temple where I fought that giant spiny. If you step on the platform where the paint star was, it'll actually lower the lava level, revealing another paint star. This will lead you into Red Pepper Volcano where, yet again, you can't do much here. But there is a yellow toad here, so you gotta come here anyway. Well, now since we have all the yellow toads, we can help them out in the forest and get a radish as a reward. Cool. Well, actually there's a pipe here that we need to yank from the ground. This leads us into the other half of Mondo Woods where everything is very tiny. There's another paint star right here, but a bunch of tiny Goombas jump on it and rip it up into 5 pieces. Time for another scavenger hunt. It's pretty funny how the enemies are portrayed as threatening here, but then get pulled back to be nothing more than a small nuisance. I'm not going to mention every piece encounter, they're not too tough to find. I will mention that one piece as you encounter a really tiny toad. Tiny Toad will meet you back at Port Prisma near the squad HQ. He's also important later. I was admittedly stuck here for a bit trying to find the last star piece. I found a tiny pipe I couldn't access. I used the bottle opener on it because I thought it would pry it up, revealing a bigger pipe. I don't know what I was thinking. But the last piece was actually being held by a Cheep Cheep. If I didn't accidentally encounter these guys, I would have never found it. Grab that star and dip. Next up is the Cobalt Base. Outside of the entrance is a shady Sniffid who can sell us some good cards for 1,000 coins. Yeah, I'll bite. Give me those cards. You should probably buy these cards because inside of the base is a trapdoor that drops you down into a game show. Sniff it or whiff it. Yeah, this seems kind of random, but it was actually in Sticker Star. It was one of the only good parts of that game, so I can see why it made a return. So this game show has you pick a card that is shown to you and you need to select the correct one. They'll do some trickery with the display, but it's not hard to figure out. Let's just hope you have the right cards on hand though. This is why that Sniffit was outside. This game would be complete bullshit if he wasn't there, to be honest. You only need to win 4 of the 7 rounds to proceed. If you win all 7, you get access to the bonus round to win a special prize. I didn't do that because I messed up the painting round. I'll come back later though. Grab the star and let's go. Next is Fort Cobalt, home to another big paint star. This area introduces the silver and gold shy guys who can only be harmed with the iron jump. Killing them gives a huge scrap reward, so it's worth killing them. Later on, you'll come across a fence puzzle. Hitting the wrong one hurts you. They'll get shuffled around each time, so paint the ones you hit so you don't make the same mistake twice. I also get whacked with a giant basin. Remember this for later because I certainly didn't. Moving on, we come across a break room of sorts with a bunch of shy guys eating some spicy burgers. The Toad will sell us a burger alongside a fishing rod. Grab this for later. You can buy the special too, even though it's overpriced. It's revealed that the Toad running the stand is undercover to find the weak spot in the boss's defense. He says something about lifting him above ground. Hint hint. This break room area also houses a bunch of blue rescue toads, so be observant and grab all of them. I do miss some initially, but I come back later. Nearing the end of the base, it's time for another Koopaling boss. But who is it this time? It's Ludwig, riding a very incomplete battleship. We arrived too early, and he didn't finish it in time. The fight with Ludwig is pretty interesting. You can't damage him with normal means. Rather, you need to reflect his cannonballs back at him. But how do you do this? Well, this area introduced us to the Raccoon Tail card, which can reflect projectiles back if you get your block timing correct. It's the only means of damaging him. Taking damage will break your tail, so make sure you get your timing right. After enough hits, Ludwig will enter a submarine that can fire torpedoes in a volley. You can reflect them back, but he'll duck under the water to avoid them. So what thing do we need this time? Balloons. Huh. You know, I actually don't remember coming across any balloons on my journey. Turns out I did, and I didn't realize it. You wanna know where they are? They're back at Plum Park where Birdo performed. They're in this back left corner of the stage. I mean, could you blame me for missing this? I was more focused on the spinning teapot fountain than a bunch of random ass balloons tucked away in the corner. So now with the balloons, we can raise the sub out of the water and destroy it. Yeah, that was kind of annoying. Another big paint star in the bag. It's time for another dance, which I have to dub the music over because the sound got messed up. Cool. Thanks, OBS. Back to the pirate ship, the paint star restored the water here, and the toads from earlier saved their captain. Pirate Captain Toad is about to set sail for Fortune Island, but he's a little nervous because he has to cross the treacherous Lost Sea, but has no idea how to cross it. He asks us to check his captain's quarters for any clues, because the old pirate captain used to be here. Down here we find a battery, it's useful for later, and we come across diary entries from the previous sea captain. There are 5 in total. There's also a compass down here, which you need a little bit later. You can just keep it here if you want. After handing all of the pieces to Pirate Captain Toad, it's time to set sail because each piece is a clue to get to Fortune Island. It's not hard to figure out. We did it before with the blue toad earlier. So this next section is actually pretty cool. We need to sail the ship correctly to reach the island. If we mess up, we need to restart. In order to figure out what to do, you need to refer back to the diary notes in your inventory. The first entry says to make a left turn after the smiling mushroom. You do this by talking to the toad at the helm and telling him to turn. Once you reach the smiling mushroom on the left side, turn left right after it. The next area is a shooting gallery. Weird that this is in the middle of the ocean. Here you need to hit and score 70 points with the cannons on the side. Certain targets will pop up unexpectedly, so it might take you a few tries. The entry afterwards says to turn right after the angry mushroom rock. To find the angry mushroom, shoot your cannon at the rocks on the right side until you find the angry one, then turn towards it. The fourth entry says you need to collect, I believe, 27 coins here. I don't remember what it said on the gamepad, but it's around like 25 to 30 coins. Use the cannon to collect the coins. It's not super hard. Now the fifth section has us stuck in the fog. This is where we need to use that compass, but there's no spot to lay our card. One of the toads found a rectangle-shaped flag, but it's all ripped up. What you need to do here is shoot the rocky structure on the side to make a complete rectangle by perspective. Now we can use the compass and direct ourselves forward. We even get a paint star from it. Now we've come across another problem, a giant whirlpool. The captain says there's no way by it, so we decide to dock at the nearby Vortex Island for now. This level gives me extreme Earthbound vibes here because the main gimmick of this stage is flipping between alternate worlds to progress. It's just like Foreside. Whatever you do in the alternate world also affects the normal world, and vice versa. You'll be doing this for a bit until you reach the source of the whirlpool in the alternate world, a giant washing machine. Alright, that was kind of a funny reveal. Let me just take that from you, Mr. Shy Guy, I hope you don't mind. But he totally does mind because it was in the middle of the spin cycle. So now we have to fight a bunch of different enemies who are all pissed that we stole the machine. It was a pretty enjoyable fight, and it was kinda hilarious. With that whirlpool gone, it's time to head to Fortune Island. Well, not yet. Again. Now we come across a giant wall of darkness. The lighthouse on a nearby island is not on, so guess what we need to do? Fix it. The toads on this island aren't gonna do it. Of course we have to do it. So the stage is more or less the same as the previous one. You need to scale the darkened lighthouse in the alternate world by splashing paint on the ground. There's a box in here that frees a rescue toad in the real world, so don't forget about him. On top of the lighthouse, we get a light bulb, which we then use on the real world lighthouse to light our way forward. Easy, simple, and clean. So now we arrive at Fortune Island, for real this time. So again, you need to flip between the alternate and real worlds to progress. Inside of the island houses the big paint star, but it's shrouded in a poison mist and we can't grab it. Further along, we reach a hoard of treasure. 2 of the chests are important, the middle one drops us down into a new room, and the northeast one has an IOU for one of the treasures. Yeah, the Sniffits from Sniff It or Whiff It stole to be used as the special prize of their game. Huey mentions that this treasure might come in handy, so we should get it. So I did. I went back to the game show and won every single round and claimed the ultimate prize. A camera. Back to the island, in the alternate world below the poison room, there seems to be another Pirate Captain Toad cooking a mean barbecue just below. Sorry I gotta ruin your barbecue like this, but it's important, I promise. Turns out this pirate captain was the fabled legendary captain who wrote all those diary entries from earlier. The original pirate captain thought he died a long time ago. Before going back to the poison chamber room, head into the alternate world version of that room to grab the salt and pepper shaker thing. Back into the real world, we can now grab the paint star. But can you guess what happens? Wendy is here to greet us and stop us from stealing the star. It's time for another boss fight. Wendy actually has a pretty cool attack where she'll throw enemies or coins at you to the beat of the music. It's like a rhythm game. I'm really bad at rhythm games. After enough damage, Wendy will charge her ultimate attack, which can bind you in place if you get hit, and you essentially lose at that point. So what thing do we need here? Well, it's that camera we won from the game show. Thank God Huey mentioned that, because I would have never guessed we needed this. This will take a photo of Mario to act as a decoy from the attack. Now we can freely attack with no worries. It's a cool fight overall, but the fact I needed to win the bonus round of that game show is kinda dumb just to beat her. Give me that star and it's time for another dance party. So with the purple star restored, we can now go back to Mustard Cafe where that huge white spot was, which was actually a giant hole that we get sucked into. Okay, the first half of the stage I actually hate. You need to travel through quicksand while avoiding pokies at the same time. 99% of the time I would accidentally jump on the pokey trying to run away. It was very annoying. We do find the Mustard Cafe Toad down here as well. If we can get him out, we can get free access to his cafe. After some paint pipe puzzles, that's some alliteration right there, we find the orange pipe that leads to the cafe. But surprise, a bunch of sniffets hiding under the sand kidnap us and throw us in jail. You need to break weak parts of the floor to escape. We also need to find Toad and save him, but we need the keycard to free him and use the elevator. It's not too tough to navigate, but just be aware of your surroundings as they hide some stuff from you, like a hidden wall behind a poster. Get the card, free the Toad, get the key, climb the pipe, and here we are back at the cafe. We grab another paint star, giving us access to the Toad Train Works. We can't do much here now, but there is another paint star to lead us to the Tangerino Grill, which houses another blue squad member. Back to Kiwano Temple, the train to the excavation site can't proceed because some freak show broke the tracks. Now who would do such a thing? This is where the blue rescue squad comes in. They help form the missing piece of the track so the train can cross. But a thwomp comes down and destroys the train. All the passengers start to push the train to the train works to get it fixed. But what do you know? A bunch of Bowser's goons are here ruining everything. It's our job to repair the train back to the way it was, because fuck me if the Toads that were hired to handle fixing the train to actually help out. Fixing the train isn't hard to figure out, so let me just mention a few things I like in this level. This level brings back the Ninjas from Mario 2. I always like these guys, I don't know why Nintendo doesn't use them more often. You also find a megaphone, which will be used in the next level, and we also get this encounter, which I thought was really funny. With the train fixed, it's time to head out. But not before we watch this generic foreman Toad give his farewell to his workers. He's retiring. So sad. Here at Tangerino Grill, the customers are unhappy because they aren't being served. The kitchen is being mobbed with shy guys who are ruining everything. Kill them all and save the head chef Toad. He's a bit smushed at the moment, so we help in preparing a Mamma Mia pizza for the guest, because again, the other chefs are completely worthless. First we need to knead the dough, with an excellent execution from our hammer. Next we need to chop the onion 20 times without missing an input. Then we let them fry in the pan for 20 seconds without them burning. If they do happen to burn, you need to chop the onions again. Now we put it all together and let the pizza cook for 10 seconds. It seems kinda short, but whatever. I just used the stopwatch here to count the 10 seconds, because I might go over or under just a little bit. It's not cheating, I promise. Pizza done, and everyone seemed to enjoy it. But there is one more customer we didn't serve. He's in the VIP lounge. He wants us to prepare a giant sentient steak for him. The fight with the steak is pretty annoying. Yes, we are fighting a giant sentient snake. Snake? Steak. In order to figure out how to prepare the steak, you need to talk to the Toads in the restaurant for hints. If at any point you mess up, you need to restart. Fail more than twice and you need to pay to have the steak replaced. And you also need to pay for the thing items as well if you use those. So what exactly do you have to do to prepare the steak? Well, first you need to tenderize it with your hammer. Once the steak starts drooping down at like 90 degrees, it's tender enough. If you hit it too much, it'll just flop on the floor and you lose. Then you want to use the salt and pepper shaker, the grill, and the lemon we got much earlier in the game in that specific order. You season up the steak with the salt and pepper, you grill it to perfection, and then cool it down with a refreshing lemon squeeze. You know, I actually hate lemons, so that's kinda nasty to me. And that, my friends, is how you cook a steak. It's that simple. The steak was so good, in fact, that the VIP guest gives the restaurant a rating of 1.5 out of 5. Oh, joyous day, Kalu Kalay, give me that star. Next up is the Sunset Express, another big paint star area. The train can't go further here because a thwomp is blocking the way. Using that megaphone we got earlier helps wake the thwomp to move it away. But now we have another issue. The train was hijacked by the VIP guest. This guest was none other than Larry, another Koopaling. The train conductor Toad storms by on his handcar to help us reach the train. Here we need to make our way to the front of the train. This part is actually pretty cool. They bring back another only good aspect of Sticker Star, the sombrero guy. He'll force his way into battles, usually buffing the enemies, or healing them. He's annoying, but I just can't stay mad at this guy, just look at him. On this train are also a bunch of Red Rescue Squad Toads, so you gotta save them all too. We also get a nice one-on-one chat with the Shy Guy. Let's listen to what he has to say. At the front of the train, we encounter Larry. Damage proves to be useless because he's being fed health through the train stack. The train conductor Toad tries to help us out in this case by going below and stopping him himself. For this part, you need to defeat all of the enemies Larry brings out each turn, or Toad will get knocked further back and has to restart his walk. This is where those replica thing items come in handy. After 3 turns, Toad stops him. He's turning out to be the most useful Toad in this game so far. With him gone, Larry makes the smokestack spit out smoke in your face, making you miss every attack. So what thing item do we use here to stop that? The cork. You do get the cork after unplugging the alternate world pipe from Vortex Island, so you should still have it with you, unless you used it already. This plugs up the train, and now we're free to beat Larry up. Yeah, screw you, Larry. I hope that steak you ate gives you excruciating stomach pains and diarrhea. Another big paint star in the bag. It's time for another dance. So the paint star this time around revived the Dragodon fossil that was at the excavation site. That Dragodon made its way to the Red Pepper Volcano where it wants nothing to do with us. After chasing us down, it stops to breathe fire. Huey suggests to drop something heavy on its head to stop it. At first I tried the washing machine because, you know, it's a heavy item, but that doesn't work. So what item do I need here? The basin. Yeah, remember that basin from the fort I didn't pick up earlier? We gotta use it here. With the Dragodon all conked out, we can ride him. In order to ride him, we need to use the Magma Burger that we also buy at the fort. Luckily I bought this earlier, so didn't forget this time. The rest of the level is... I don't really like it. It's just avoiding rising lava and the millions of lava bubbles that jump from the pool. You do need to use the bottle opener thing here to progress. I had to buy it again because I used it on that pipe earlier. It's time to get the star and leave. Also, don't forget about the toad that's hanging above the lava. He's important. Next up is Red Pepper Crater. Here we meet a toad from Tangerino Grill who went out to find a thing to help melt the ice in the freezer. He can't get it himself because he's a toad, so we help him out. This level is another I don't care level. It's better than the last one, but it's still not very fun. At the end, you fight a giant lava bubble. How creative. At least this one's a bit funny because he has a Shy Guy with him to help translate what he's saying. But the fight itself is just lame. You just spam ice flowers to win. After the fight, there's a room leading to a hot spring. Yeah, this is just in a volcano for some reason. But hey, that's nice. I can go for some more R&R. Here we find another red squad member, and the hairdryer that Toad was looking for. We're not done yet though. If you go under the waterfall, every good game has a secret behind a waterfall, you can find another paint star and some pervert shy guys spying on a Boo. The poor Boo. At the restaurant, we melt the ice in the freezer and receive a magnifying glass. The head chef really wanted to melt all of this ice so we can save one slice of pizza. With this magnifying glass, we can use it on the small Toad from the forest near Prisma HQ. He becomes a member of the Red Rescue Squad. We can also use it on that small pipe I couldn't enter earlier, which leads into another star. But, big shocker, we get attacked by Kamek, who shrinks us down before the fight. Finally, I get my revenge on this guy after he's been a dick throughout the whole entire game. Kamek will mess with your hand during the fight, flipping your cards and removing cards. Near the end, he removes all of your cards, and you can only rely on the battle spin for the final blow. It's a really good fight overall. Next stage is the green energy plant. The Toad here lost power because a paint star crashed through his home, destroying the breaker. So in order to restore power, we need to use the pipe to the right and use the battery thing to charge up the plant. If you remember, we got this battery on the pirate ship. And now power is restored, and the TV is playing Mario 3. The best part about this though is that we actually get to go inside of the TV and play Mario 3 ourselves. Well, not the real Mario 3, the Paper Mario version of Mario 3. We also get a nice Super Paper Mario reference here because we have to flip between 2D and 3D to progress. There is a red squad member here I didn't get initially, but I do get him later. The level is much bigger than I thought. Kind of upset that the enemies you fight aren't all 8-bit though. The music is at least different. After this stage is Moss Rock Theater. There are signs to show that a carnival is just up ahead, but it won't be easy to reach because there are a bunch of circus performers jumping out of the woods to attack you. We do get some new enemies here, the Patooies from whatever Mario game they're from. And we also encountered the Dino Rhino, which I thought was an original enemy, but they appeared in Super Mario World. I guess with a simple name like that, I could have expected them to be from an earlier Mario game. The rest of the level is fine. There are some Red Squad members here being tossed around, and a background Hammer Brothers show ending in a boss fight. It's annoying, but I wouldn't call it hard. Alright, the Emerald Circus, another big star area. We can't get in yet until we rescue every red Toad. I was missing two, the one in the Mario 3 stage, and I missed one on the train. But now we can go see the glorious circus for ourselves. Who's the main star of the show? Well, it's none other than the goofiest of all Koopalings, Lemmy. He shows off some disappearing tricks with a Shy Guy and even a funny giant paint star. Hey, wait a second. So in order to invade the circus, we need to sneak in from the back. Yoshi from the Haunted Inn earlier cleared the way for the other Yoshis trapped back in the cage over here. There are also two Hammer Brothers back here that give us some hints for Lemmy. He loves to dance, and popping his ball is so easy while he's dancing. Keep that in mind. In the back room, we can pull a rope to get a disco ball. I wonder what this will be used for. Huey gets booed off stage, the poor guy, but the real act here is fighting a bunch of circus performers. First are a bunch of Shy Guys on a unicycle. You need to beat these guys in one turn or they'll just regroup. Next is the Dino Rhino Tamers. This is the hardest one because if you kill the Shy Guy, the dinos get enraged and deal massive damage. They also have a ton of health. Next is the Buzzy Beetle Tower. This one is easy, just topple them with the POW block and kick them away. Last is the Trampoline Shy Guys, who were much easier than I thought. For some reason I kept chucking the hurl hammers to hit them because you can't jump on them or else they'll jump to the ceiling and you can't hit them. All you have to do here is hit the trampoline with a hammer, then jump on it. It's not that hard, I'm just an idiot. Well, now it's time to fight Lemmy. Lemmy can actually be pretty tough. With the addition of spawning enemies, you can also remove your cards from play if you don't block his attack. It's a really good fight actually, and a good endgame boss. But of course, we need things to win. Lemmy will ditch his old ball for a new spiked ball and stay tucked in his shell so you can't hurt him. So what things do you need? Well, I messed this up at first, but I did have the items. You need to play both the disco ball and the ice pick we got from the Coliseum in that order. I played them on 2 different turns. Don't do that. While Lemmy is fire burning on the dance floor, you can pop his ball and fight normally. He's still a little bit tricky because he'll pause during his attack. After beating this clown, we get the next paint star. And now for some more backstory. Yeah, the other stars had backstory I didn't mention, but it was things that we kinda already knew. Turns out Bowser didn't actually have an evil plan to ruin Port Prisma. He just saw the fountain full of paint and wanted to paint his shell to be all rainbow. But he mixed up the paint, turning it all black, which then corrupted his body, turning him more evil. Poor guy. But hey, time for another dance number. With all the stars restored, they make a rainbow road to Bowser's castle. So we can't actually walk up Rainbow Road, so what do we do now? The most unlikely of heroes show up. Freaking Luigi drives by with his Mario Kart reference. Turns out that last paint star restored Luigi's car back to normal, so now we can ride up Rainbow Road. Be careful you don't fall off though, I haven't seen Lakitu this whole game. But here we are, Black Bowser's Castle. That's a name. Inside we find a decolorized version of Peach. Well, let's get her down and save her. Of course it's not that easy and we get dumped into another trap. And who is waiting for us at the bottom? Yeah, the last Koopaling, Roy. Roy probably has the best fight out of all the Koopalings. The fight starts with your paint being drained and your 1-up mushrooms being stolen by Shy Guys. Roy then uses that paint against you during the fight. The Shy Guys will load his cannon with a specific color of paint. While this does restore your paint meter, it does damage you and adds an extra effect to Mario for one turn. Like for example, the red paint will make Mario really fast and unable to do combo attacks, or the yellow paint which will make Mario dance and unable to use blue cards. I think my favorite one is the orange paint because that makes Mario self-conscious and can only use painted cards. That's pretty funny. After dealing enough damage, Roy will start to mix all of the paint into his cannon and coat the room in black paint. You can't hit Roy during this, so we need a thing item. At first I thought we needed the light bulb to illuminate the room, but I was wrong. We actually need the washing machine to clean up the place. I actually did bring that with me before coming here, only because I thought I needed it for Bowser, so I didn't have to reset my progress after all. With Roy defeated, that's every Koopaling down. Now for one more big mean Koopa. After a clever paint can disguise, we enter a room where black paint is being filled inside of bonsai bills. These are going to be used like the ones from earlier, dropped onto the world to coat it in darkness. It's very convenient that the floor of this factory is riddled with giant bob-ombs. So here we need to lead the little bob-ombs into the bigger ones to cause a chain reaction destroying the factory. After blowing up the factory and running from some black paint, we arrived at the door to Bowser's throne room. Alright Bowser, it's time to kick your scaly ass once again. Bowser can actually be very hard, but thankfully you don't need a thing item to beat him. Well, isn't that great? So the first phase you can expect the typical Bowser attacks. You can't jump on his head with a normal jump, so using hammers or the iron jump works best. Bowser can also spawn black lava bubbles. If you don't kill them on the round they spawn, Bowser will absorb them back into his body, restoring his health. After enough hits, enough to clear Bowser's head from the black paint, he comes to his senses and questions what Mario is doing in his castle. But before Bowser can do anything, the black paint overtakes him and grows bigger. Well, this isn't looking good. No matter how much damage we deal to Bowser, he'll absorb all of the paint back with just one attack. Huey knows a way to stop him, but he'll have to revert back to his original form. With Huey back to his original self, he has the power to absorb all of Bowser's attacks if you time your blocks correctly. The more paint you knock off Bowser, the more paint you can absorb into Huey. This can actually be pretty intense if you're like me and suck at blocking attacks. His previous attacks are much faster than they were before, and hits way harder too. Bowser's last attack is him launching one final black paintball to end it all. But I messed up on blocking it twice, so I was in the battle for a bit longer than anticipated. But hey, that makes the fight more epic, doesn't it? Also, the music for this fight is great. So on the third final attack, I actually absorbed the hit and Huey is looking pretty beat up from it. One final hit to Bowser and he is defeated. Poor Bowser, he just wanted to pimp his shell. Now it's time to save Peach and get the hell out of here before we get crushed. I don't know if you can die here, but if you can, that would really suck because you would have to fight Bowser again. Luckily, Luigi is still parked out front so we can escape. Not Huey though. Huey stays behind to stop the black paint from ever spreading again. He's able to wring out the entirety of Bowser's castle and stuffs all of the black paint inside of him. Huey then flies off into space and sacrifices himself to save Prisma Island. I never thought I'd be sad to watch a paint can die, but it happened. But yeah, that's it. There's a celebration to the safety of Prisma Island, we mourn the loss of Huey, and Bowser gets shat on one last time. So yeah, that was my playthrough of Paper Mario Color Splash. I have some mixed feelings about this game, but let's compile that into the final ranking. So starting off with the gameplay, I'd rank it a 3.5 out of 5. The gameplay is alright. I think the best parts of the game are actually the stages themselves. There are a lot of cool and fun levels and a bunch of smaller fun segments. I didn't mind the use of thing items during stages. There wasn't a point during a stage I was confused on what thing I was supposed to use or what the hell I was supposed to be doing. It's not like Sticker Star, I actually got through the game without looking up too many things. Not every thing item in the game is used to beat the main story, so don't go out of your way to find every single thing item. But on the bad side of gameplay, we have the combat. It's still not very good. Again, it's an improvement over Sticker Star, but using cards to fight just isn't very fun, and by the halfway point, I was sick of battling normal enemies. The boss fights were cool, but the fact you needed a thing item to beat them kinda ruins the challenge of certain bosses. It's basically you win or you lose at that point. Since battling takes up a good portion of the game, I gotta deduct a few points from the score. Presentation gets a 4.2 out of 5. The game's visuals look great. The Paper Mario games always looked fantastic, and this might be my favorite looking one. I didn't play Origami King, so I don't know about that one. The NPC and enemy design, though, isn't very good. Why is every NPC just a different colored toad, and why is every enemy just a standard Mario enemy? The only enemy that has some originality to it are the Shy Guys, but even that is lacking. Why are the important NPCs are just as generic as the normal toads? You can at least try to make them different. The other games did that, so why not this one? Well, actually, Sticker Star didn't do that, but I try to forget about that game. The story, while it's there and better than Sticker Star's, it really isn't fleshed out. It's on par with the standard Mario game with just a bit extra added into the mix. It's not as deep as Thousand Year Door or Super Paper Mario. It does make up for it with having some really funny writing though. It's on a similar level to Earthbound in some instances. The fun factor I'll give a 3 out of 5. It's fun, but I wasn't blown away with excitement. There were parts of this game I was kind of annoyed with, and every enemy encounter near the late game was just a waste of time and cards. But the humor stayed strong and the levels kept being enjoyable. Replayability, I'm gonna give a 2 out of 5. There are more optional paint stars to get, areas to fill in, and other small challenges to complete, but that's really it. I don't really have a huge desire to play this game again for a long while. I think the fact that this game lacks a true RPG progression system really ruins that. It's going to be a mostly similar playthrough each time with no experimentation. Like, you can replay the game, it's not like awful. You can replay it. I might replay it in the future, just probably 40 years from now. So the final score for Paper Mario Color Splash is a 3.175 out of 5, or a 3.2. So overall this game wasn't that bad. I thought it was going to suck ass because it's the sequel to Sticker Star, but I guess the developers heard the feedback of the last game and tried to improve upon a lot of its faults. I think if they just turned the battle system back to the way it was originally, this game would probably be better well received. And then, overall design changes to the NPCs would be nice instead of just looking like generic toads. But overall, I think you should try it out. It's still only on the Wii U and will probably stay there forever because you need the gamepad to actually play. But for now, let's get back to that wheel and see what we're playing next. Alright, back at the wheel again. What I'm hoping for this time, hopefully something that doesn't take a long time to beat. Maybe something shorter this time. Please be something shorter this time. I hope so. I'm going to mute this just in case it's really loud. Splatoon. I guess we're keeping in theme with the paint, I guess. We're going to Splatoon next. Alright.